Alright, so let's talk about this new amazing news from Nikon. They just released this new cinema camera that is very affordable. You might heard of it, right? This is the Nikon ZR camera. It's considered as a cinema camera because they partner with Red. In fact, they bought Red and make this little baby camera, the cinema camera, and it's just amazing. I'm going to go through the 10 features and several bonuses why I would buy this camera over Sony FX2 or FX30 or the Panasonic S5iix, which I was thinking of buying previously. But now this surprising news from Nikon came out. I think this is the camera that I really want in the future. In fact, I think this is the camera for the year 2025. It should be the camera of the year for the price that they're trying to sell it for. So let's talk about the 10 features and the bonuses that this camera has. Alright, so Nikon ZR cinema camera. What's so great about it? Well, there are 10 features I'm going to tell you, plus some bonuses and some rumors that may come out from this. Hopefully they'll develop more once it's become a hot sell, right? Because then people want all these features and they'll do a firmware upgrade. But let's talk about 10 features that already guarantee that's going to be in the camera. Number one is the RAW, right? The RAW video footage. It can do the ProRes RAW in camera, the Nikon RAW in camera, and the modified Red RAW in camera. Okay. Now this initially was a problem for a lot of user who had firsthand with the Nikon ZR. They had this prototype, right? But now the DaVinci Resolve 20.2 said that it supports the new Red RAW from Nikon. So wow, right? So now we know it works on the DaVinci Resolve 20.2. So free RAW in camera, 6K, 25, 30, 60p. Think about that. Of course, you need a very big, fast memory card like the Type B. I think they use Type B, which is better than the Type A because it's cheaper. It may be a little bit bigger, but they do have a slot for that. Now, some people complain that yes, Nikon has only one fast slot and one micro SD. I don't really mind it. You have this big Type B fast card, and then you have that tiny micro SD, one for photography, one for video. Yes. Now, obviously, you can't record both at the same time, but at least you have a backup for photography. Number two, big screen, 4-inch. I have never seen a camera with such a big screen for that price. It is also very bright. You're talking about 1000 nit. So if you're in the sunlight, right, indirect sunlight, you can see it much better than the Sony smaller screen. So yeah, so you wouldn't need an extra monitor now. You have a, I think it's a 3 million pixel, and it's 1000 nits. I can't believe they were selling it for $2,200 US. That is just amazing. Like I can't comprehend that. Like Sony, what are you doing? Or Panasonic, get a bigger screen, okay? Number three, the 32-bit audio. Boy, oh boy, built into the camera. And you can put a mic jack and record yourself in 32 bits. Now, why is that important? 30-bit audio means that if you clip your sound, where you know how you shout and it kind of make the audio pretty much not usable. But with a 32-bit, you can bring that high, large, booming sound. You can bring it down, especially you're shouting and you're whispering. You can bring it all the way down, and then you can adjust the volume, and it sounds great. So you don't have to worry now about clipping your audio with a 32-bit. I wish all the manufacturing company from now on do that. The price with a 32-bit and the big screen itself is already worth that extra $1,000, but they're selling for $2,200. Just think about that. The other feature is that it has an IBIS that is about 7.5 or 7.7 stops. Wow, just wow, okay? IBIS built into this camera. My Fujifilm X-T3 and my Sigma does not have it, Sigma FP. I'm thinking, wow, I think I might have to sell those two cameras just for this. Who knows? Because I do love those two cameras just to keep it. It's a classic camera. I might just save up just to buy this camera. I'm not sure if I want to sell those two cameras now. They're still unique in their own way. But yeah, just knowing the fact that it has IBIS, that is 7.5 to 7.7 stops. Well, you can't go wrong with that. In addition, you know, if you worry about overheating because it doesn't have a fan, right? There are YouTubers that test it out and they say that it doesn't have overheating issue, especially if you're recording raw at 25p, even in a hot temperature. So already, to me, wow, just wow. I don't know how they do it, what magic trick they've done to their camera. Sony and Panasonic has to have a built-in fan for their camera, but Nikon didn't even do that. And it's light, thin, oh, just blows your mind, right? Another thing, this probably, I don't know what point I'm at now, but ability to be able to accept E-mount lens. So it's compatible with E-mount lens because the width of how the lenses fit, the Nikon is able to do that. Okay, so I have a lot of E-mount lens from Sony. Now I just have to buy a special adapter and I'll fit it right in. Yeah, so now my E-mount, I don't have to upgrade to another like type of Nikon lens, which I might do that in the future, but the E-mount lens, the full frame, will work on this camera. And all my Nikon F lens, all my Sony A-mount lens with adapters will work. Wow. Now, you can also power the camera with a USB-C. That's awesome. So if I get like, you know, battery pack type of power, you know, bank, I can plug it in and I can run the camera for hours. Okay. It can also do streaming. Like think about, you know, for YouTube live streaming or for, I don't know, Zoom calls with 4K 30p and it's a red quality color science. Yikes. Waveform is built in. Wow. And the thing a lot of YouTuber doesn't talk about is their app, right, from Android and Apple. They call it a snap bridge, I believe. Now, I don't know how they will implement it, but I noticed that the Z camera has this snap bridge, and I'm sure this ZR camera will also have it, you know, where you are able to control your camera remotely with your smartphone. So that's something that you might think about with the red now being controlled by your smartphone. Autofocus is amazing, second to none to Sony. Okay, so I think I mentioned that already, especially when you're talking about, like, you know, red, right, and it's autofocus. There is a zoom rocker on the Nikon that allows you to, like, for example, if you want to make sure you have the focus correctly, you just like rotate that zoom rocker and you'll be able to zoom in to see if you are in focus. That little extra thing makes that camera very unique. Now, the price is sitting at $2,200 US. I can't think of a camera with all these features having that price. I mean, the Sony FX2, for example, is like $3,000. You're looking at about almost $700-800 difference in price. And the Sony FX2 can only do what? 4K 60p? And it doesn't do internal RAW and all that stuff. Sony, you gotta step up your games there. Now, there's a rumor that said that this camera in the future may have SSD streaming, in other words, recording, right? So you can hook up your USB-C to an SSD and it can record the video. That'd be awesome, because if you think about it, if the SSD is so cheap nowadays, if you are able to, record the RAW into this SSD, my goodness, this camera will beat Sony by miles. And Panasonic, that's why I want to get the Panasonic S5iix for longest time, because it was able to do that. Now, if Nikon ZR can do that, like in their firmware, let's say update it so that you can record through the SSD, I think basically there's no question I'll get the Nikon ZR cinema camera. So again, that's a rumor. Hopefully, once it comes out, they'll update their firmware and that will be the one that we want. All right, so there we go. Hopefully that's the 10 features I share with you. You'll know why I like this camera, and most likely I'll be buying it in the future. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and give me a little heart of appreciation. Bye.